All right, guys, so I want to walk you through this deranged hysteria, which is targeting innocent Russians. Now, before I get started, let me just reiterate, please do yourself a favor and watch all of my previous videos on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Obviously, this segment is in no way, shape, or form to downplay the imperialist war being waged by Putin against Ukraine and the people of Ukraine. So let's just get that out of the way up front. Watch all my other segments on this to get like a detailed breakdown of what's going on in the war. This segment specifically is to show you the bigoted, xenophobic backlash which is happening, and make no mistake about it, it's exactly that. Now, definitely hang around until the end here, because the last couple of stories that you're going to see are just mind-boggling. So first we have from Forbes, 10 states in the U.S. have banned Russian vodka, a symbolic gesture with little economic punch. Alabama on Monday became the latest state to banish Russian vodka from shelves, joining a nationwide movement that, while packing a symbolic punch by targeting one of Russia's best-known products, impacts a tiny proportion of total liquor sales, and in some cases has led to the mistaken dumping of non-Russian liquor. Now, by the way, even if it is Russian liquor, what does some random business person in Russia who may or may not be affiliated with vodka, what do they have to do with Putin's decision to invade Ukraine? They have nothing to do with it. In fact, I'm sure many of them just flat out disagree with what Putin did. This is way too overbroad a crackdown. Key facts. Monday, at the urging of Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, the Alabama Alcoholic Beverage Control Board pulled Russian Standard, the lone Russian vodka stocked in the state, while Maine Governor Janet Mills called for the state's Liquor and Lottery Commission to quickly delist all Russian-made spirits, preventing the spirits from being offered at stores or restaurants. Utah Governor Spencer Cox and New Hampshire Governor Christopher Sununu Saturday, and North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper and West Virginia Governor Jim Justice Monday issued executive orders instructing their states' alcohol control agencies to remove Russian liquors from shelves, with Cox remarking Utah's businesses, quote, will not support Russian enterprises no matter how small the exchange. So even though we know they're not affiliated with what Vladimir Putin is doing, we don't care. Since they're Russian, that's enough of a connection. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine Saturday and Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds Monday ordered their state's alcohol control agencies to halt purchases of Russian-produced liquor. Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board Sunday instructed state-run fine wine. I don't even need to go on. You guys see. Oregon is in here as well. Texas is in here as well. Arkansas is in here as well. So, I mean, it's just... I mean, I'm amazed that at this late date in 2022, these are the kinds of actions that people are looking to do in response to a war waged by not these people they're cracking down on. So we saw this the other day. I just wanted to refresh everybody. Apple Pay and Google Pay no longer work on Moscow's metro system, leading to long queues as people fumble about for cash. So look, I'm in favor of every single sanction you can levy on Vladimir Putin and the oligarchs. They are responsible for this. The Russian government is responsible for this. These innocent people are not responsible for it. They didn't do it. Why are they suffering as a result of what Putin did? Apple confirms it has paused all product sales in Russia. All product sales. RT News and Sputnik News apps also no longer available outside Russia. A statement from Glasgow Film Festival. In light of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and in response to a plea from the Ukrainian Film Academy today, on behalf of the Society of Ukrainian Film Professionals and Cultural Figures, Glasgow Film Festival has decided to withdraw the 2 Russian titles, No Looking Back in the Execution, from our 2022 program. This decision is not a reflection on the views and opinions of the makers of these titles, but we just believe that it would be inappropriate to proceed as normal with these screenings in the current circumstances. All tickets purchased online for either of these films will be refunded in the next 24 hours. Customers who purchase their tickets personally at the box office will be given a refund on their next visit. Replacement films to fill the slots which have been vacated by this decision will be announced in the next few days. Guys, what if when the U.S. invaded Iraq, all Americans became pariahs around the world and they cracked down? Nobody would buy any American-made products, no matter how small the business, no matter how unaffiliated with the Bush administration they are, no matter how different your politics. What if we all became pariahs? What if none of us were allowed to fly outside of the country? What if you couldn't make a movie that had nothing to do with a war? I mean, this is beyond preposterous. I don't know how anybody could think this is a rational reaction to what's going on here. Breaking, Formula One terminates. I can't talk. It's early, forgive me. Formula One terminates contract with Russian Grand Prix. Western brands flee Russia in unraveling of capitalistic diplomacy. Disney, Nike, Volkswagen, and others curtail business while rubles plunge hits shoppers. So, look, there's an attempted complete isolation of Russia, which on the one hand I understand. They're trying to make Russia a pariah state because they're doing pariah state things like aggressive and imperialist invasions. However, again, it's not the fault of the people of Russia, and I don't want them to be the collateral damage here. But unfortunately, that's exactly what's happening. Breaking. This is the one that I could not get over. Breaking. Russian and Belarusian athletes banned from the Paralympic Winter Games. The Paralympic Winter Games. You guys know what the Paralympics are, right? It's the various people with, like, handicaps and disabilities who have their own Olympic Games. They banned the Russian and Belarusian athletes. What the hell does some, like, double amputee child from Russia or Belarus have anything to do with Putin's invasion? Was, like, a double amputee kid sitting in a wheelchair next to Putin telling him to press the big red nuclear button? Like, what are we talking about here? What is this? Guys, there's no other term for this but bigotry. There's no other term for this but xenophobia. Or, you know, the word people use is like Russophobia, Russophobia. I don't know how anybody could support this. I mean, you're making more victims out of the situation. Now you're giving a genuine victim complex to innocent Russians and people from Belarus who did nothing wrong. We're not supposed to believe in collective punishment. Like, if somebody in my family commits a crime, is that my fault? No. And that's even like, I have a bloodline with this person, but it's not my fault. We don't do collective punishment. And this isn't even like a bloodline thing. This is somehow even more broad and worse and more generalized. It's like, if you just happen to be born on the same patch of dirt as the guy who's waging the war, you're guilty. I said it before, I'll say it again. If when George W. Bush invaded Iraq, the entire world sanctioned the U.S., but the sanctions impacted the civilians of the U.S., I would oppose it. If my mom was unable to go to the bank and take out a couple $100 because of sanctions levied by the rest of the world against the U.S. when we invaded Iraq, I'd be like, well, that's really stupid. If you want to sanction anybody, and they should have, by the way, they should have sanctioned George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and Condoleezza Rice and, like, the U.S. government, people in the U.S. government who voted for this decision, who supported this decision. That's who you crack down on. But we're cracking down on Paralympic athletes? How deranged is that? Jesus Christ. It's unbelievable, man. I'm stunned. What a crazy backlash this is. Now, this one, look, it says I'm unable to view this tweet because this account owner limits who can view their tweets. In other words, these people, this Twitter account blocked us after we quote tweeted it and was like, what the fuck is this? So this is from Onco Alert. It's like an oncology thing, like a cancer thing. Crystal says, WTAF, the Oncology Network is pulling out of Russia? How does punishing cancer patients serve anyone or anything? So yes, some like, you know, cancer treating business or industry or agency or whatever you want to call it, institution, they decided, well, we can no longer treat cancer patients in Russia because Vladimir Putin waged an illegal and offensive war. But what do the cancer patients in Russia have to do with it? They have nothing to do with it. And what if some of these people can't get treatment now that you're pulling out? You want to sentence random Russian people to die because of what Vladimir Putin did? That makes no sense. For the love of God, people, use your minds. Why does everybody become so tribal and so stupid when big events happen? I mean, maybe we're tribal and stupid all the time, but it's certainly heightened at moments like this. It's absolutely astounding, man. All right, now let me give you... Here's the reality, guys, and this is what we need to keep in mind. This is in the Kyiv Post. Anti-war protests night in St. Petersburg, Russia. This is a picture from Reuters. Look at this. There were 1,700 people arrested a few nights ago. 1,700 people arrested for protesting the war. Now, these people here are going to be victims of this mindless crackdown, this bigoted and xenophobic crackdown. These people who are actively fighting on the side of peace are now going to be victims of bigoted crackdowns. Is that what you want? You want to isolate people? Because look, here's the other thing that you have to worry about. Now look, this is from a state news agency, so take it with a massive grain of salt. But this dynamic here, Putin's polling numbers go from 60% to 71%. I don't believe it. They weren't this high to begin with. Again, state-run, take it with a massive grain of salt. But this dynamic of, like, actually people are going to circle the wagons and start defending Putin after a while, that's what's happened every time we've waged overbroad sanctions on countries. This is what happened in Iran, for example. We do the most severe sanctions you can possibly imagine, and then it doesn't make the population like the United States and the West more. It makes them actually defend their government, a government that they know sucks, a government that they know is dictatorial, a government that they know is a theocracy. But when that government turns around and says, look, I'm the only thing protecting you from the big bad Americans, obviously they hate you, they're punishing you for things you didn't even do, that's an argument that lands. We're 0 for 9 with ruthless sanctions. It doesn't work. Now, again, if you want to sanction Putin and the oligarchs, I support that. As a matter of principle, they deserve it for what's going on and in their name with their money. But the innocent people do not deserve it. And one of the things that could happen over time is people will start blaming the West because it is the West that's levying these brutal sanctions. So they can directly blame the West for the things the West are doing. If it's the West banning Paralympic athletes from going to the games, people are going to say, that's the fault of the West. That's not the fault of Putin. Because it is. Because it's not a rational response to what Putin is doing. Now, obviously, there are plenty of people in Russia who are blaming Putin's imperialism and his aggression on Putin. You don't want to give Putin an argument. You don't want to give the Russian government an argument of look how stupid these guys are. Look how much they hate you. Look how much they're cracking down on you for something you didn't even do. So for the love of God, get it together. Jesus Christ. No more bigotry, no more xenophobia, no more broad crackdowns. This stuff is obvious. How do we have to say this stuff in 2021? For the love of God, target Putin, target the oligarchs, but be reasonable. Be objective, be sane. No innocent person should have to feel pain because of what some disconnected government did. The Russian government doesn't represent the people of Russia. So why are we pretending like they do with the nature of these sanctions? It makes absolutely no sense.